We are going to bring you right now a Bloomberg exclusive because billionaire Tom Barrack made headlines recently after buying Miramax. But the real estate mogul spends most of his time these days buying busted loans from the FDIC. Barrack's firm just announced another big deal with the regulator, and he spoke exclusively with John Erlichman. John.
Deirdre, since the financial crisis, some savvy investors have seen an opportunity to buy failed banks. Others have seen an opportunity to buy the loans from those failed banks. That's where Tom Barrack comes into this story. His firm, Colony Capital, just announced another deal with the FDIC to acquire $820 million worth of busted loans, bringing the total they have purchased through FDIC auctions to more than $4 billion. Let's go through how this process works. First, of course, there's a bank failure, and we've heard about plenty of those over the last couple of years. Then the FDIC swoops in, it seizes that bank, and in some cases, it takes the loans from that bank, packages them, and sells them to firms like Colony Capital or Starwood. Now, this is easier said than done for the buyer, and Tom Barrack told us that this has been the toughest deal he's done yet.
The reason that, most people don't like these is there's no income in the meantime, right? So it's not as though you're buying a loan and the loan is paying you a coupon that just happens to be under yielding. Just about everybody stops paying. So every transaction is a workout.
And speaking of working it out, that's what his team has to do now. They have to go to the borrower and try and convince them to do a modifying of their mortgage, if you will, to get things so they can make their money.
John, what about the borrowers? I mean, what's the latest for them?
Well, look, for a lot of these borrowers, says Barrack, they haven't had any communication since the bank failed. No one's been calling them to try and work things out. So they're happy to hear from Colony's team. But this stuff doesn't take place overnight. Have a listen.
As a buyer, it's an ongoing business. You don't know. There's not a quick spin here. You won't know how you really did until you resolve the last 10% of that portfolio, and that can either be 18 months or 36 months.
That being said, expect for Colony to do more deals with the FDIC. That's what they're planning to do, in part because dealing with the banks, just going to the banks and saying, can we buy some of your troubled loans, is a lot tougher these days than actually going to the FDIC auctions.
John, thanks so much for that exclusive conversation.